Hey y'all, what's going on? It's Barb Meets World. Welcome back. Oh, I feel like it's been so long, y'all, but we're here to talk about Married to Medicine's season 11, episode 11, which just so happens to be entitled Trouble on the Sandbar. And trouble it was, y'all. But before we get into all that, y'all already know we got to have a few housekeeping rules in order, which include liking the video, y'all. Go ahead, like the video for me. It helps me and my channel in terms of the algorithm. It helps me attract new subscribers such as yourself. So go on ahead, hit the like button. Also, if you're not a subscriber currently, hit the subscription button, become a Barb's babe. I would love to have you. Also, I would love to know how you felt about the episode as well as my commentary in the comment section below. I will be sure to respond back. We can have a cute little kiki down there. So go on ahead and drop me a comment. Also, share me with your folks near and far, okay? And turn on your notification bell so you know every single time I upload, okay? And here we are, y'all. What's going on? We had a bit of a hiatus, y'all. We had a bit of a hiatus because of the Super Bowl and whatnot, but we are back, and I am so glad that we picked up on this particular episode when Ish hits the fan. If you know what I mean, if you watch the episode, you know exactly what I mean. This episode gave. It definitely gave, which is good because for a while I was feeling like, okay, Married to Medicine, like, what are we trying to do? Season 11, like, we kind of, a little bit there, but they got it together, whatever. So we're going to get into it. So we're not here all day. Let me throw my banner up. Okay, follow me on my social media accounts that are now scrolling along the bottom, and also check the description box so you can find any other pertinent information, such as my jewelry. My jewelry link is down there. Make sure you use the code Janice. And yeah, so let's get into it. So everybody was waking up. It was the next morning after the whole pool party that didn't include a pool. Whole fiasco. Y'all remember. Yeah, so everybody's waking up, eating breakfast, getting ready, the whole nine. And so, of course, we're going to have to reflect on everything that went down the night before, right? So we got Quad asking King, what was up with Greg? Like, why was he just acting so crazy? Why was he turning up like that? And King was like, I think it was the sex that started it all. And we get the flashback. And I do agree. I feel like that's when things took a deeper dive. And it all goes back to the fact that there's people within this group that just genuinely just don't need to be there. They don't seem like they're having fun. They don't seem as though this is a space in which they are thriving in. And I'm just not understanding why they are still present. Why would you go ahead and torture yourself like that? But you know what? Let me stay on track here. So she does say, like, it's probably a lot for him to see. And it's probably like, a lot, her being there with him and stuff like that and hearing everything. But at the same time, am I not allowed to, boast and go up for my man? And do I got to keep everything, so hushed hush because he, my ex-husband and his new wife are here? Like, that's not fair. I should not have to, be on mute because none of y'all gave an F when the roles were reversed. And I couldn't agree more. And this is what I have to say. These are the types of things I have to say to those individuals that are so quick to just not see it for Quad and always place the blame for everything on Quad, when it's just like last season when y'all was parading around her face, that wasn't a problem. So fast forward to now, what's good for the goose should be good for the gander, as we always say. I just don't get it. I really don't. So yeah, and I couldn't agree more with Quad when she said that they just, y'all just, you can't handle it. You can't handle it. It's pretty obvious. And I feel like that's what it was rooted in. We saw Greg literally unraveling because, here this woman is that it's clear that there's still some feelings there. There's clearly still, him over here thinking that he was going to get this new, younger woman and, to make her jealous, and it completely backfired. It really did. But speaking of Greg, over with him and Sweet Tea, she's still confused about exactly what happened. And he recaps how he was just pissed off. Quad was acting superior and as if she needed to endorse our relationship. And I feel like he used the word superior in particular, y'all, because Greg seems as though he's the type of man that is insecure about himself or needs to always flex some type of toxic masculinity over his woman, or he seems like he needs to always feel like he's on a pedestal above whoever else. And I feel like in that moment she being Quad was bringing up all the things that he's insecure about, and he was again being faced with the truly the person that he wants to be with. You guys can't tell me otherwise. I'm sorry. Because no one said, Quad wasn't saying anything bad or wrong. And no, you guys don't need her to endorse your relationship. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like that's what she was doing as much as she was not giving folks what they wanted to see, which is they wanted to see her crumble. They wanted to see her look stupid and crazy here and jokes on everybody because she didn't miss a beat. She got this fine, young, they're very much in love, having sex 15 times a week man next to her. And Dr. Drew just knows that he couldn't compete with that. And he clearly felt some type of way. It's clear that I want to say this is even when Quad mentions it in this moment that it's giving very much as though Sweet Tea is just a placeholder. Quad peeped that it was rooted in jealousy. And that's even more apparent. But first of all, it's not even that I'm even placing it all on Greg, because yes, I feel like Greg is the one that spearheaded bringing them into this environment that is not suited for them. But also we have to place a lot of the weirdness on Sweet Tea, because y'all, did you guys see Watch What Happens Live? Girl, you're prancing around now at this point in the same dress as Quad has. You got your speed dating is named after her seasoning. You just now are taking down certain decorations, decor, whatever. You're just now out with the old in the house. So it's a little weird. If I was Quad, I would definitely have 360 surveillance, because that is odd behavior. It's giving obsessed. You cannot tell me otherwise. But for some odd reason, she seems to think it's the other way around, and I just don't get it. And it's not to, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think Sweet Tea is busted or straight up just trash, as much as we have to keep it a buck here, y'all. Like, she not competing with the likes of someone like Quad. She's not firing on all the cylinders that Quad is firing on. This is her show. Even on Watch What Happens Live, once again, we love seeing people like Quad on there, quick-witted, one-liners, the whole nine. Sweet Tea a lot of her questions were geared around, again, Quad, and she seems to think she's a star, but I just don't see that star power. I don't. Period. What else was said in this? Greg did apologize for his behavior because he doesn't apologize for how he felt, which again is because there's jealousy. And he also says how he's not about the negativity. He didn't come here for all that. And I'm like, you're the negativity though, I feel like. And again, you see Quad and King over here looking ever so pleasant, happy, very much loving on each other. And we see y'all over here like you looking like you're having the worst time ever. And again, it's like nobody's forcing you to be here. So you can exit stage left at any given point that you want to. And I think that point should be right now. It should have been you guys should have never even came on the show. I don't get it. It doesn't seem like it's fun. He not even getting paid for it. She's probably getting pennies because we know how the pay goes down at Bravo and stuff like that, and seniority and stuff like that. So girl, bye. That's for both of them. Girl, bye to Sweet Tea, and girl, bye to Dr. G. I said it. What else? And Sweet Tea's whole thing was that she should be given grace because she's not just going to let anybody just like talk to her, say whatever. And on the flip side, I feel like Greg brought up like the age gap and whatnot to illustrate a point that really didn't make sense to me, because he's going on to talk about how he expected her to be this elder wise person or whatever. I'm like, you're also not displaying that type of behavior either, though. So like, what are you saying? Greg, move away from me with this. Moving on, we get a quick scene with Toya and Eugene and Mimi and Steve. They were having like a one-on-one, two-on-two, however you want to put it, double date outing or whatever, to kind of just get to know one another. And the moral of the story here is that, Toya, you did play a part in it to some degree, whether it was on purpose or not. You played a bit of a part, I feel like, because you were definitely hyping up some of the things that Quad was saying. I want to say, like I said in my previous video, that Toya was the one that said the word baby shower first. So again, yes, you were fan of the flame a little bit, and I'm glad that Steve and Mimi pointed that out. I definitely agree with them on that. And Toya, you also need to move away from me with the whole Patron preservatives and additives talk. Like I'm done. Anyway, so then we catch up with Simone, Jackie, and Heavenly. And of course, they're going to talk about the previous night as well. And Simone does give kudos at first, but then she's, quick to point out that clearly Quad and Greg need some healing. Clearly, like, that something is not settled there. And this is also the time where Heavenly decides to tell them about how Apollo is coming. She invited him, and they're like, oh, And we remember, like, Phaedra knows he's coming. Phaedra does know he's coming, but there's a couple unknown additions here. So, and we're going to get into that, obviously, when it's time. But Simone thinks this is the worst thing that Heavenly could have possibly ever done to date. And I mean, it was definitely one of the most entertaining, Simone. I got to give it to that girl, Heavenly, all that. I was thoroughly entertained by this episode. I can't even lie. And I feel like I'm going to feel the same exact way next episode as well. But she's going to be on the lookout to basically tell Heavenly, I told you so, when she hits the fan. And I mean, I have to agree with that, because we know at the end of the day, it's going to hit the fan. And I feel like what was interwoven into this episode was people trying to, like, everybody I feel like was vying for their moment during this episode. And some people, it went off better than some others. But then we have Jackie pointing out how, well, what if Apollo gets jealous when he sees Phaedra with Shaq? Because maybe, that's exactly what, Phaedra, she's a veteran at this. That's exactly some type of strategic move that someone like her would make. So, and that obviously wasn't something that Heavenly thought about. That wasn't something that everybody took into account, which is, again, going to be one of the main reasons why it hits a fan later on the episode. But anyway, they plan to do they're on a private sandbar, which I thought was a really cute idea. I will say this is a nicer trip than, a lot of the other trips that we've taken, obviously, on Married to Medicine specifically. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought also what was cool is that despite the fact that Contessa still cannot dress, in my opinion, that crocheted cover-up that she had on was really cute. Really, really cute. I mean, for the most part, everybody looked cute. Sweetie, there's, we still need to get that taken care of, but most part, everybody looked cute. But before they set out, Heavenly calls Apollo to figure out what's his ETA, where you at, what's going on. He's like, I'm about to be there, whatever. You're like, okay, cool, I'm waiting. And this is where we also get a quick confessional from Phaedra, who brings up how it's just so weird that Heavenly will want to invite Apollo on a boat ride when she's there with someone new. And I'm like, okay, but I feel like she didn't give that energy, because we saw the flashback when Heavenly told Phaedra or whatever, and she was very much like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like that's not the same thing. Like, you didn't express how weird you thought it was when she brought it up initially. I would have, but I guess that's just me. What else? Sheik says he's not necessarily looking for a wife, but he's open. whatever. And then, again, Apollo walks up, and it's like, the camera's on him at first, and then it pans over to Sherrein. Last time Heavenly checked, Sherrein was not supposed to be coming with him. He said Sherrein was not going to be accompanying him. So, of course, everybody's like, okay, like, dun, 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 very much, cue the dramatics. Like, we already got one set of exes over here that is like a weird situation. Then we got Heavenly and Sweet Tea. That's another situation. I guess Damon and Greg don't count anymore. I guess they're cool now. Contessa and Heavenly, that's still not something that's completely remedied, as well as, including Scott too. And now we're, to add insult to injury, we got Apollo plus his other half or whatever. So it was just building. And I was very much with Curtis at one point. I think he said, like, they need to put nets on the side of this boat, because it's like, insert elephant 1, insert elephant 2, insert elephant 3. Like, that's exactly how I felt when I was watching this episode, y'all. Is like just watching, it's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. It was crazy. But when they get on the boat or whatever, obviously, again, no one really knew Sherrein was coming, to include Heavenly. And so Contessa is so messy. She was like, oh, our friend Phaedra. And Sherrein's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is when we find out, I don't know if we already knew this. I don't know why I either I knew this, assumed this, remembered it from Real Housewives of Atlanta days or what. But when she said, she being Phaedra, told us how this was Apollo's mistress at one point when they were still married. He was cheating on Phaedra with Sherrein. This is obviously, that's where this whole thing started. And, there's not many times I agree with Phaedra, but I definitely would agree on I wouldn't see it for her either in this type of case. If that were the case, if you're going to go ahead and marry your mistress, like, you're lucky let me zip it. I'm not even gonna say what I was about to say, because I don't need y'all judging me. Anyway, I also thought it was funny too when in her confessional, Toya was like, do you have any exes I should know about? Like, is the big titty girl coming? Like, to Eugene. And Eugene was like, girl. But valid question, because again, as I just said, we're adding this elephant and that elephant and this elephant. It's a ticking time bomb. Like, come on now. So again, did you guys peep when Shek greeted Apollo versus like how him and Sherrein greeted one another? I felt like it was a lot more chummy, and like, oh my God, she was like, oh wow, what are you doing here? Oh, when she saw him, hugs closely or whatever, versus when he saw Apollo, it just wasn't as, I don't know, just wasn't as chummy, which made me think that, and I read online that the link between them is more so between Sherrein and him. I think he used to date her sisters. What I heard, y'all don't quote me, which would make more sense based on how they greeted one another, because Apollo was like, oh, that's my boy, we hang out every week, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I didn't get that in that greeting, unless by that point Apollo had peeped like, oh, you're here, my ex-wife. Okay. And, again, insert elephant number 4. I just thought that was interesting how they greeted each other. And again, when Sherrein had asked him, like, what are you doing here? He was just like, it's a long story. So again, it was all cool for a minute. Everybody was cheersing. They finally set sail. It was fun. It turned, not gonna lie. But mind you, the whole time, everyone is subtly slaying slick comments under their breath to like other people, poking fun at the elephants in the room, until Shek brings up the whole, oh yeah, and the goal is to have sex 15 times a week. That was also funny. But again, Greg was over there seething along with his wife. So sorry, y'all. Anyway, then right after that, Apollo grabs Quad's ear, and this is when we first hear how he feels about things, which is that when Phaedra told him one day that Shaq said he didn't know him, and that, you know, she's lying pretty much because, again, they are together every week. That's his boy, etc., etc. And he told her that it wasn't a good mesh. And I'm like, when did that conversation happen? Like, why didn't we get a clip of that conversation? Because I'm like, that just, I don't know. I don't want to blame everything on editing, but I was just curious as to when that conversation occurred, because it obviously it seems like a game of telephone that's going on between them. And again, you know, with Phaedra, you can never really, you know, deduce what is true and what is not false. Anyway, so Heavenly consistently letting people know this was not my plan, this was not my intent. If I knew, I wouldn't have invited them, etc., etc. And honestly, I do believe her when she says that. I do believe that at the time, she probably didn't know. I also think that Sherrein, since we've seen her, has been hungry for some camera time, hungry, you know, she was vying for her moment in this episode as well. So I can see how easily she was not coming, and then she decided to come. I have to agree with Heavenly on that one. I don't feel like she completely knew that. Y'all let me know. Do you guys think that Heavenly knew or she didn't know in the comments? Let me know. But anyway, over on the other side of the boat, we got Shaq. He's airing his grievances about the night before and how he wishes that Phaedra would have warned him that, you know, it's going to go down, it's uncomfortable, blah, blah. I'm like, Shaq, you clearly, maybe you never have seen an episode of these types of shows, because we know that you can go from 0 to 100 in a millisecond. So, but I mean, I get it. Like, that does probably feel a little weird to see that type of carrying on, and it's your first time being amongst a group like that. I could see how that could be a lot. But I mean, you signed up to be on reality TV, so I don't know what to tell you, bruh. I don't. Also, y'all, did you guys peep in this scene that, I don't know, I feel like Greg and Contessa were sitting like super close, which I'm not trying to insinuate anything at all by saying that, but go back and look. I just felt like they were so close. And I mean, maybe I should even just freaking place that onto Contessa, because Contessa seems like the Drew Barrymore type, y'all, if you know what I mean. She seems like the whole quick to invade somebody's space type. So I don't know. I just felt like they were super close. Anyway, in her confessional, Phaedra says that all she knew was that they knew each other from the club, Apollo and Shaq. And, you know, that's something common for a lot of people. She never knew that they were close friends. And that's where we are with it. I don't feel like we'll ever get the truth about that. And I say that because Phaedra didn't even come to the reunion. So yeah, there's that. And when a producer asked her, she still thinks it was a good idea to have invited Shaq to the couples trip, she declines to answer that question. So again, Phaedra, I don't know why. This is exactly why I don't know why people beg to have her on our screens. They were trying to make her work in this episode, definitely, but she still is never going to give us the amount that we want to see from her at all. But anyway, nonetheless, they go back to dancing, drinking, minus Jackie, because we all know Jackie. Anyway, and when they finally get to the Sandbar, Toya falls off the boat, which I thought was hilarious. But, you know, it's cool. We're just going to blame it on vodka. And what Toya shaped like my mama, like brick house for real. That is heavy. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm just as bad as the man. I was looking at everybody. I was looking at all the ass. I can't even lie, y'all. Sorry. Bodies were bodying out there, and I love to see it. I love to see the girls looking good and feeling even better. So here for it. Anyway, mind you, everyone was chilling. The husbands were smoking the cigars. And so we have Steve asking Apollo, what is his affiliation to the group? Y'all, tell me why Apollo decided to address and connect the dots and bring up every other connection he has in the group except for the main one, which we know is that you are the ex-husband of Phaedra. Like, come on now. Are we serious here? I thought that was crazy, but you know what, Paulo, do you, boo? But things got even weirder when they decided to do like a 25 push-up contest. And like, I already was with Eugene, like, yeah, can we just chill? Can we just smoke a cigar and, you know, talk and then be merry? I thought that's what we wanted to do on a trip like this, but I guess maybe I'm wrong. And what made it even weirder is that Dr. Greg jumps up to do push-ups, and I'll give him that. He knocked him out, but the way in which he went about knocking him out was to everyone up was to scream out, Letitia, 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 Letitia. And I'm glad the other guys thought it was weird too, because I'm like, are you trying to convince us or you convince yourself? I think he was trying to convince himself, y'all. I'm sorry, I do. Anyway, so they're all over there doing that. And right after that, Eugene, offers up his thanks to King for coming in with such a positive attitude, good energy, the whole nine. And King also shares that sentiment. He's like, you know, thank you guys for opening me with open arms, or welcoming me with open arms pretty much. Everything was cool. Everything was copacetic. Until, again, Greg chimes in to say, well, I haven't really welcomed you because it's been awkward, but like, I don't mean any disrespect to you or her, but she was just speaking on my new marriage and it bothered me and I didn't handle it in the best way. And again, King, I feel like he handled it well. He was just like, you know, very understanding. Like, look, y'all have a past. Ain't nothing going to change that. Yada, yada, yada. Very, very understanding in my opinion. But Greg, this is where I think things began to escalate, because Greg doesn't leave it there. And I feel like the other gentlemen that were around would agree too, because he keeps talking. And what he says next is that, well, you know, but I just said she just talked too fucking much. Excuse me, come again? Like, who are you? Huh? Who she? What? King was like, oh, you said that to her? He's like, yeah. He's like, because I didn't hear you say that last night. And I don't know about y'all. I saw King's wheels starting to turn there. But again, playing it cool, trying to, you know, navigate the situation to the best of his ability. I don't think he came there to fight by any means. I really don't. But I feel like Dr. G is the type of guy, he's trying to flex in front of the other guys. He's a person that doesn't really feel 100% secure in his manhood, in my opinion. And again, there's still some lingering feelings, some lingering jealousy, etc. That, you know, the life that you imagine with this woman at one point is now the life that she's creating with another man that looks and is, you know, 20 times beyond your league. Just saying. And it's like he tried to come from a place of like, oh, like just knowing Quad and knowing that she drank too much. And I even thought that was kind of weird too. It's like, you don't need to like, I feel like he was trying to like have a toxic man-to-man moment, or man-to-man like agreement, or however you want to put it. And King just wasn't on that type of time. He wasn't trying to let that slide. And he let that be known, I think, later on, even in the episode, like she's told me, like, he's heard her side. He knows what's up. And for the ones out there that are so quick to, again, place all the blame for everything under the sun on Quad, y'all need to go back and watch seasons. Like, it's been confirmed by Dr. G himself numerous times, the types of abuse that was placed on Quad at the hands of him. So I just I wouldn't expect some King or anybody to have come into Quad's life and just take that and just be like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, yeah, your ex-husband screaming at you, blah, blah, blah. And just, okay, whatever. Like, no, like he acted in her defense as I feel like he should have. I do. And again, the other guys, they're like, oh my God, oh my God, this is awkward. Like, are we really doing this? And I feel like it got even more awkward when Greg decided to jump up for whatever reason. He decides to jump up and walk up to King and say, like, you know, you can ask any of these guys. I promise you, if I knew you, I would have addressed you. I hope you're willing to stand up for her. Let me know what you guys think, what he meant by that comment too. I hope you're willing to stand up for her or whatever. But I just really want to know why he decided to jump up like that. That was also, and I was glad that King stood right there, like, unbothered. But I feel like Dr. G is the type of person that has to do these types of things because, again, it's rooted in his own insecurities. And again, I will give King kudos when I say that he was, I feel like, trying to keep his cool. Even in the confessional, we know that he, in the moment, he was keeping his cool, but even in the confessional, he was like, you know, based on what he just found out that Dr. G said, like, it's clear Quad is owed an apology in his opinion. And by the end of the episode, we know that he's standing on big business when it comes to that. And okay, go off, King. Okay. Anyway, meanwhile, over with the ladies, they're lounging in the water, minus Phaedra, because she's off, you know, being picked up by Shaq, which I was like, okay, ass in the air. Her cover up was cute too. Cheeks were cheeking. And, you know, of course, the ladies are looking at them and very much Phaedra's man, which I don't even think they meant like in a relationship, a formal relationship way, as much as it's like we're all booed up here. Like, but you know who else had their ass on their back? And I mean literally, not figuratively, because that's the energy that person was giving. Sherrein. Yeah. Sherrein definitely felt some type of way because she was so quick to pipe up and say, that's not her man. Shaq is everybody's man in Atlanta. Good. Okay, if that's the case, then why do you feel anyway? And then she claims that like they don't even give a about them. It's just obviously messy and yada yada yada. And I'm like, if you didn't give a shit, you wouldn't be sitting here talking and being the first person up in our faces talking about that ain't her man. This is another thing. Like you would just be there on mute, not being unbothered and enjoying your cocktail in the ocean. Y'all feel me? Like, I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I feel like an unbothered person wouldn't have so much to say. So anyway, they talked him up. So of course he pops up. Shaq goes over there, followed by Phaedra. And I think it was Toya that asked him, how does he know Sherrein? And at first he's like, you know, that's nobody's business here. And I was like, see, you and Phaedra must have schooled you up real quick, because I was like, that's such a private answer that Phaedra would give. Anyway, and but of course the line of questioning doesn't stop there. And the main question being, did he tell Apollo that he was going to be here with Phaedra? And Quad was like, you know, because he relayed to me that you didn't tell him. So what's up with that? And just as they're starting to talk about this, we see that Phaedra, she's starting to feel some type of way, because she's like, you know, these are supposed to be my friends. And, you know, they should be welcoming whoever I'm with open arms, instead of, you know, choosing to pretty much weaponize who I used to be with, you know. And this is exactly why I say that these are these types of bitches. Again, they were trying to make Phaedra work. And again, this is also making me think too, is like even if she was a better fit, like obviously they're always going to try to push each other's buttons and stuff like that. But I was like, see, like she never fit in over here at all. Like she just so out of place. Anyway, but yes, she was starting to feel some type of way. And just as that's occurring, we have Apollo walking up, getting involved, trying to explain that him and Shaq, like they, all he knew is that he went speed dating. That's where it stops. That's where it starts and stops. And Shaq was like, well, no, didn't I call you and tell you that I had matched with your ex-wife or whatever? And Paul's like, yeah, but again, that's it. And so Phaedra's like, you know, well, Shaq's like, you know, he don't feel obligated to tell him everything. Like, what's up with that? Phaedra's like, yeah, like, why are you so bothered by who I'm like dating or who I'm with or whatever, Apollo? Like, we're not married, haven't been married for 7 years. Like, what's up with that? And as they're going back and forth, Sherrein again I feel like she was thirsty for a moment, is so quick to jump up and say, Apollo don't give a fuck about you. Apollo, I told you that Miss Faith, hey, da, 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 da. And she's trying to rattle that off. Phaedra's like, oh, no. First of all, my name ain't Faith, Miss Faith, you bad built bitch. And I was like, I wasn't ready for it. Were y'all ready? I wasn't ready for that. I was like, oh, but at the same time, I also heard through the grapevine too that Sherrein said a lot more too, but it got edited out. So I don't really know, but Phaedra, I'm gonna give you that one, definitely. So because the scream I scrumped was, oh my God. And so as they begin to go back and forth, we got Shaq taking Phaedra to lead her off by the hand, trying to de-escalate the situation. But that doesn't even work because Sweet Tea trying to jump to her friends. And I put friends in air quotes because y'all already know Phaedra ain't no real friend to anybody, especially Sweet Tea. But let her tell it. I guess that's her friend child. She decides to investigate on who invited Sherrein and Apollo there. Like, which one y'all did? Who invited him? Who invited him? And so it's revealed, like, which tells me again too, like, I'm like, obviously, if you were in the mix and should be here, Sweet Tea, you would know who have invited them, because I feel like at this point, pretty much everybody knew who invited them, but whatever. But anyway, so we have Sweet Tea defending Phaedra. It's real that Heavenly invited them. So she's like, and what was your motive, or what was your intention, or however she puts it. And because given their history at this point in time, and the fact that stuff has not been worked out between the two of them, and I'm explaining it that way because I feel like a lot of people that I seen online were like very much thinking that Heavenly's response was she overreacted or whatever in her response. And I'm like, I don't feel like she did, because clearly, like, we know what's going on. Clearly, we know that why you're asking this, Sweet Tea. Clearly, you're like feeling that way for your friend or whatever. Like, and yeah, if I'm in conflict with somebody, even if we're not actively in conflict in this moment, if we're not cool like that, you can't ask me shit about shit at any given moment. Like, you can't even ask me what color the sky is. Like, don't ask me a motherfucking thing. I don't give a fuck. Ooh, I'm sorry, y'all. But I mean it though when I say it, because if we're not cool like that, don't think that you're about to ask me a question that can allude to, or can, with the roads leading to you, like, trying to check me or trying to pinpoint me for being in the wrong or whatever, because obviously at this point, one could look at it in a way as though this is Heavenly's fault for inviting this person in the first place, and yada, yada, yada. But I'm saying it by what I said when I say I feel like she didn't necessarily think it would escalate to this point. Unfortunately, it did. So, I mean, that's something she still, regardless, is going to have to sleep with that night. But you not a bitch that I'm not cool with ain't about to tell me that. Like, that's just my 2 cents on it, though, y'all. So they start going back and forth. Again, Heavenly's like, nah, you don't ask me shit, none of your business with your bumblefuck boot mouth ass bitch, or whatever she said. Hollered at that as well. And I'm like, girl, you've had 2 seasons now. You've had an off season. You've had ample time to get your comebacks together, because you're gonna have to do better than Razorback big back bitch. Like, okay, whatever. And the bigness of y'all's backs is, I don't feel like is that much off from one another. / Heavenly looks motherfucking amazing, in my opinion, for given her age, given she used to have issues with her weight and all that. Like, mama looks fucking good. So what are you talking about? You're the one that was trying to, keep your titties in check out there, and they were screaming to be unleashed by the end of this episode. But we're gonna get there, y'all. So they're going back and forth. Obviously, by this time, the guys are like, whoa, what's going on with there? So they come running over or whatever. And Greg, like, he's like bear hugging, trying to calm down Sweet Tea. Everybody's like standing up, whatever. Damon, y'all peeped how Damon had his hands in his pocket behind Heavenly. Like, and I will say, stood on what he said. I should say, I'm talking about Damon now when I say he wasn't getting involved. Like, he was letting that be between them two or whatever. So I'm bringing that up because it's going to tie into the last point here between King and Dr. G. But I just, again, Sweet Tea, like, you were going so hard, and this all could have been avoided, I feel like, by, yes, certain people not being there, but like, you didn't need to try to check heavily on anything given where you guys are. And shout outs to Contessa for trying to protect her $3,000 camera. I know that's right. I know that's right. But as they're trying to de-escalate the situation and everything, Shek wants to speak to Greg one-on-one, and his main purpose behind that is so that Greg can't, flex or feel like he needs to front or, whatever in front of the guys. Because again, as I've been saying this entire freaking time, Greg is definitely much that type of very much that type of person that would be trying to do all the theatrics and stuff in front of other people, mainly, especially other men. I do feel like that. So he takes him to speak one-on-one while Phaedra takes Sweet Tea off or whatever to calm her down. And she's like, Shek's not gonna let anything happen, blah, blah. So they're talking, and King's like, look, so what happened last night, I'm gonna let it slide, but don't let it happen again. You don't need to speak to her anymore, blah, blah, blah. And Greg's like, I don't want to speak to her anymore. Like, tell her not to speak to me anymore. Tell her to stop saying she's saying about me. And King's like, no, she can say whatever she wants to say or whatever. And Greg's like, well, how was that fair? She can say whatever she wants about me, but I can't say anything about her. How does that even make sense? And it just continues to escalate and escalate and escalate. And at first I was like, I don't know about King's tone, but then I had to really take into account like everything, not even just what we've seen in the previous night, but just knowing obviously what he knows about their situation, which he's like, I heard, I know, and I'm not about to, like, I'm new sheriff in town. It's not going down like that anymore. You're not about to trigger her. It's just not going to happen on my watch. And I feel like, again, he was acting in defense of Quad, who is somebody who's I feel like been left defenseless a lot of times because she doesn't have a man present. I feel like they always try to use that against her sometimes, or now she has somebody to defend her also, and I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it because it would be anybody else on this cast too, right? So what are we saying? And I feel like the how King went on to say, like, yeah, if you have something to say to her, then or she says something to you, then you say something, you address me about it. How about that? I feel like that's the same exact thing that Damon was saying to him, and it wasn't an issue then. So like, why is it an issue now? Like, it just weird. Sorry, y'all, I just sneezed. I just thought it was super weird. And again, we got Greg talking about, listen, I'm a doctor, I don't have time to fight with you or anybody else, I have no words for her. And King's like, da, da, da. He's like, oh, I figured you was like that because your girl is just like that, da, 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 da. Y'all peeped that because I definitely did. And the episode, we're getting, to be continued pretty much. The episode ends right there. Everybody's running up. Quad Clappers was clapping. She runs off over there. Everybody, Shaq is trying to break them up. Production, like, people trying to break them up. King is ready to square up. Glasses being slung off faces and whatnot. And Sweet Tea, like, breaks away from Phaedra. She's like running up or whatever. Well, I should have been like running up, and that was the last clip we seen. I'm like, y'all did that on purpose because y'all see they be wanting me to talk bad about that lady, because I'm like, of all scenes to end on like anticlimactic AF. But I'm ready to see where this is going to take a turn to. I gotta go back and watch that live that Quad and King did. I did watch Heavenly's public live. I need to watch her. I need to subscribe to her Patreon to see what else she said about the episode. But all in all, like I would give this a 10. Like I was thoroughly pleased from start to finish. And again, what I said still stands. I'm standing with Quad and King on this one. I'm standing with Heavenly. I'm standing with because and I guess Phaedra in that whole debacle between them, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what happened between them two. Y'all are not together anymore, Phaedra and Apollo. So technically she does not owe you any explanation about anything. You need to obviously take that up with your mans. Like would I knowingly date somebody who's friends with, if me and my husband we're no longer together, would I date one of his friends knowingly? Like, no, that's not what I would normally. No, that's not what I would do. But at the same time, no loyalty is owed by any means. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to marinate on this with this episode, y'all. So please, I would love to know how you guys feel in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the things, y'all. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.